Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Tokusatsu Thursdays. Today we're reviewing the Tokusatsu action film Mechanical Violator Hakaider, which is directed by Keita Amemiya, who did such series as Garo, Mikazuki, the Zerem films, and much more. He is like the James. He has been coined the James Cameron of Tokusatsu shows, of Tokusatsu, because he started off as like a character designer who worked up his way up to like directing and writing Tokusatsu shows. So like this is one of his more famous films that he did, which this is like a spin-off of the Tokusatsu show from 1972, Hakaider, where Hakaider was the villain of that show, which that show was based like off a manga created by Shotaro, what was his name? Shotaro Ishimono or something. I totally I looked it up and I forgot the guy's name. Ishinomori, my bad. Which Shotaro Ishinomori also created Kamen Rider, for people who don't know. So this movie review is in tribute to one of my favorite Tokusatsu podcasts, Rather Odd Productions, who I used to listen to them back in the day. They're sadly no longer around. I thought they had deleted their channel, but I googled them the other day. Turns out they just deleted all their videos. But you can still listen to some of their podcasts on Podomatic. But yeah, if you go on Podomatic and search up either Rather Odd Productions podcast or Random Crap Podcast, you can listen to their show. And, a lot of their podcasts they deleted, but they still have episode 118 up, which was the podcast where they reviewed this film, right? Their review of this film is like an hour and 17 minutes, almost as long as the movie itself, which is like an hour and 19 minutes, which I watched the extended director's cut on Tubi, the dubbed version, which I remember the first time I watched this film was on YouTube on some Indian guy's channel who he put like Hindi subs but like he put Hindi subs over the dubbed version of the movie so I could still watch it, right, which was awesome. Which a lot of the voice actors in this film, if you watch the dubbed version, you'll recognize from Dubbing Viz Anime. Like, you have Richard Epcar here, and I think her name's either I think it's Michelle Ruff or Wendy Lee. One of those did the voice acting. I remember like the first time I watched this film, Michael, which is the angel, one-winged angel android in the film, who's like the antagonist to Hakaider. I remembered him being voiced by Yuri Yonfall, and after watching this film again, it's like it totally doesn't sound like him at all. So let's get on with the review. This film it's R-rated pretty much. It's ultra violent with its action and some gore. Not a lot of gore, but some gore. And the film is basically an amalgamation of Robocop, Mad Max, Terminator 2, which, Keita Amemiya was a huge fan of Terminator 2, if you couldn't tell with his Kamen Rider Zio film. Or short film, since that movie was like, what, 50 minutes? So the movie is about, it's like a cyberpunk dystopia film where a bunch of Tomb Raiders or whatever, like scavengers, go into like this secret tunnel under this building and find in the locked room Hakaider in his human form, right? And they accidentally free him and unleash Hakaider onto the world, armed with shotgun and a motorcycle, which looked like the Honda or something. I'm assuming it's a Honda. I don't know. It's very like it might have been Harley Davidson. I don't know. Which I remember the action figure for this film for this Hakaider looked a lot cooler. But whatever. Yeah. So after getting freedom, he goes to the first signs of civilization he could find, which is this walled-up city called Jesus Town, right? Which is run by this Michael Jackson looking guy who is batshit crazy. He wants any criminals, any dissidents. He has his cyborgs or robot soldiers. It's hard to tell because sometimes when they're destroyed they bleed. Sometimes they're just mechanical. It's hard to tell with the robot soldiers, the stormtroopers of this film. But yeah, he lobotomizes dissidents, right? Because he just wants order, peace, and love. Any dissidents or like in any rebellion, he wants to stomp out. He's like Superman in like Red Sun after he teams up with Brainiac, where he's just like lobotomizing criminals, and reprogramming them, right? So like Hakaider shows up and meets up with this girl. I think her name's like Kaoru. Yeah, Kaoru, who's part of this rebellion, which is like you have these punk rock cyberpunk, motley crew of criminals, which the film like has like kind of like an international cast, right? Where you got like you can see like there's like not just Japanese people, but like there's white people, there's some black people, right? There's a guy who I don't know if he's Hispanic or Latino or Arabic, but yeah, there's like there's a whole bunch of people, and they're part of the this distant rebellion group who wants to take down the leader of the parliament and basically run things, right? But Kaoru is different. She wants to like help the people, right? So you have these like weird like dream sequences of Kaoru where she's like a fairy, locked chained to a tree that gets attacked by this animatronic zombie angel that gets struck down by this medieval knight on horseback who looks like straight up like Final Fantasy art given life, man. Like the set design, the character designs, the costume designs, everything in the film looks fantastic, which is what you would expect from Keita Amemiya, who's like an artist himself, whose art is very reminiscent of what's his the guy from Yoshiyuki Amano from Final Fantasy, right? He even has like a similar art style. If you ever looked at the character designs that Keita Amemiya does. Sorry, I had to take a sip. Right. So the movie the movie has non-stop action, and there's some really cool robot on robot fights. Like the fights between Hakaider and Michael, the one-winged angel robot, was very cool. you would expect to be the climax of the film, but like after like Hakaider and Michael have this very like tooth and nail fight, where like Michael has like Michael has like this bladed wings that he uses. His wings aren't just decoration; he can use them as like swords, kinda. Right, and he also has this glowing hand that's a lot like the shining finger from G Gundam, where he can melt into like Hakaider's chest. But unbeknownst to Michael, Hakaider doesn't just have like a shotgun. He also has a built-in gun on his forearm and chest, right? And there's a really cool after the Michael fight. There's another robot, which is this giant robot that's blue and red, where that's kind of reminiscent. It's like a combination of the robot from Hardwire, if you ever seen that film, which is like a 90s cyberpunk movie, and Hakaider, where it's even red and blue, and like absorbed Michael's head and made it red and blue, and very reminiscent of the Hakaider android, right? And that fight was in like mix of stop motion, but there was a little bit of CGI digital effects. But yeah, that fight was very much in the style of RoboCop versus Ed 209 from the RoboCop film, right? So I don't know. I love the movie, right? The costumes were great. The action was great. The designs was everything. Even the music was good. One problem I have, there's like a scene, which, oh, by the way, there's some really cool like action scenes on motorcycles where you seen the like the stunt actors in those like clunky armored costumes, and driving around on motorcycles on those things must have been dangerous as fuck, because they're not seeing well with those fucking costumes on. So like that just added more tension to the action scenes. But like, yeah, one problem I had with the film is that the dream sequences, though great, felt like they were filler, right? There was filler. There's like one of the action scenes is like a security force attacks Hakaider, and it's basically a van with a gun turret. So it's like that's your version of a tank, a van with a big gun on the top, right? And also there's some like bad. Some I thought was epic lines, but some people might hate the lines. Where like you have like the Hakaider Michael have like very like direct philosophical discussion about what is justice, and like Michael has the flower in his hand, and Hakaider takes the flower from his hand and is like, "Justice, this is what I do, justice." And it lights, the flower just engulfs in flame. Yeah, so like, yeah, there's some cheesy over the top stuff in here, but like lots of real cool. The designs of the robots are going to make you want to run to eBay and Amazon to buy the action figures. I know they did for me, but the action figure, it was like I think I saw like a Hakaider action figure on there with the motorcycle and gun, and it was like $80. So I'm like, oh goddamn, I'm not spending $80 on this. But yeah, if I were to give this movie a rating, I would say for if you ignore like some of the budget stuff in the film, which it's very good for a Japanese action film. This movie to a lot of people would probably be like a 6 out of 10 or whatever. To me, as a Tokusatsu movie, this is an 8 out of 10. I love it. So I'm still not sure what our next review for Tokusatsu Thursdays is going to be, but we're going to do a poll, and you guys decide. Right? Alright, guys, that's it for this review.